Hello everybody. In this video we're going to finish the layout on the main page of our fake company directory. We did the navbar, we did the little search bar there, and now we're going to work with the components for the cards and the pagination that I want to have at the bottom. For that, I will create another component that will be part of the main. Let's call this new file, call this main people. Actually, the main cards. .view. Let's do traditional hello there, just to verify that it's rendering where it's supposed to. Oops. Hello there, there you go. And then let's go to the main element. Let's import it. Let's call this main card. And we can remove this from here. Remove it. And if we import the card again, it should be there. Excellent. Let's create another component. Let's call this main card single. Cards single. I'm probably not the best name, but I don't have head to think about another name right now. Let's do again another template. And I will explain what I'm doing in a minute. Let's do H1. And let's call this I am a card. And now our main cards, instead of having the hello there, will be actually be calling script setup import main cards bingo. And let's import that right here. Oops. Right here. I'm a card. Excellent. Now that we have the element, we can start working with the position of those cards where it's supposed to be. Before I'm actually move forward, let's do a simple wrapper. and my copilot already know how I like to work. So let's do a simple wrapper. Let's do a simple style scope. Yeah, but it needs to be like that. Style CSS. And let's do the wrapper to apply container MX auto flex with a gap. Yeah, I like it. And a padding. Oops. What happened here? Oh, look at what's happened now. I'm nicing up with my styling because I call them the wrapper element and I have wrapper element in several places. This actually should be scoped so we don't mess up with another component. And probably need to look for all scoped. It's right there. Let me just verify that all of them should be where it's supposed to be. And search is there, but probably navigation doesn't have it. No, it does. Well, because let me just verify. Scope, perfect. Scope, perfect. It doesn't need it yet. Scope and scope. Oh yeah, right now. So because I didn't scope it out, I was messing up with other parts styling. So that is the important about the scope section. All name will be like just change the name of your wrappers. Like different places like wrapper section or wrapper element name, whatever. But this will actually help a lot just to maintain the CSS contained to that particular object that you're working on. Okay, so let's get back to our main card. We have those right there. And let's actually import this card several times. Let's do a simple before. Let's say that, for example, this came from an API, right? And let's say and in 20 in this case. And we just repeat that card several times. So in this case, we just create like get the API, go to the database, the server, get the persons, and repeat this particular card in quantity of time, depending how many do we have. Something like that, right? In here, we're just faking it a little bit in order to calculate it. So after we fake it, I can start working now. Probably, you know what? Probably I can get away from a lot of stuff from here. So let me remove this padding. Probably don't need it. And everything through here, I don't need it anymore. So you need the gap for now. What I want to do is I want to actually make this a grid. And this grid will be by default with one column. But in bigger screen, and this is pretty much where the I forget the media query came from, like different spaces, like in bigger. I would like to have my grid equals to 2. Large will be 3. What else can I have here? And more likely extra large will be grid column 4. And we maintain the gap of 4 there. Let me see what is not working. Let me see my server. It's actually running. More likely, let's go now to the main card single. Oh, this element is a full width. Let me just do a background red 500. Yeah. So it's actually we need to change the way this component shows this. So instead of doing let's do a paragraph probably. The span. Let's change this to block inline probably. I don't remember which one it should be. Let me see my main cards. So I have my wrapper. I really hate when the things doesn't work the way that it's supposed to. Have a grid columns 1, medium columns 2, large columns 3, extra large column 4. And the single element, let's do background what we can actually do here. Let me see. Let's do flex. No. Let's do a div and let's put this one inside. There you go. So now it's not repeating the grid element the way that it's supposed to be. So I hate about doing this. Let me pause the video and verify what's happening and I will get back to you. Okay, I found out where I messed up. And it's pretty much about those grappers, those freaking grappers I was mentioned before. So what happened here is I have this grapper in the main and it's been scoped. That means that those stylings is being applied just to this component. But because this is a child of this component, this styling is being applied into this. So because when my main cards actually have a wrapper too, it doesn't work. So let's change this to sub wrapper. And now it's working. And actually the grid, right now it's the size of 2, it is a little bit bigger, it's 3, biggest is 4, right? So that's a little bit about the responsive design and just how you can apply it across the board. I'm not applying that on the menu, so you see the menu actually mess up a lot. But as I said before, it's outside the scope right now. So let's keep it like this for now. Okay. Now that we have the sub wrapper working and we have these cards being repeated, now we can handle the process of how that every card should be looking at. So for that, I was using something that actually came from Tailwind, and I was based on that about the main Tailwind example. Let's promote this one and how to do this particular card. So I will apply something like that. But before we actually proceed, I want to talk about Faker.js. We need data. We don't have it. I don't want to write it several times, so we just generated massive amounts of fake but realistic data using Faker. This is pretty cool. I will show you how to use it. So let me just install it. Let's copy this. And I will execute that in my terminal. Just install it. And that will allow me to be able to use it. And how that actually works is pretty neat. So let's do a simple import. And let me just take this to be a little faster. Right? And now we can actually use that. And instead of saying I'm a card, I can actually use that faker element because now it's a JavaScript. I can do something like faker dot name dot first name. Save it, and I can see a bunch of first name in there. So let me remove this from here. I can do last name, and because every component maintains its own state, so it's been repetitive, so it's being called every time that the component is being rendered, so you just get a new one over time. So we have that, and we can you can look faker documentation, but we have something like, for example, email. I think it's like that. Oh, I think it's internet. Internet email. There you go. And then we have a bunch of fake emails. And we can actually have even pictures. We can use something like internet avatar, I believe, and give you the addresses for those pictures. So actually, I can get this from here. And I can use something like image, img, actually, with source. The source will be this. So that means that need to be dynamic. So in order to make a element dynamic, we need to add these columns at the beginning. So now I have like a bunch of images there. How cool is this, right? So that's pretty much the way that we're going to be using this faker element in order to create it. Something really cool that also has, and I don't know, oh, they have a little jailbreak here, let me remove it. So the faker who just has is the faker dot name dot full name. Oops, this is a function. And we can create like a full name, but because I want to use the name on the email, if I do something like this, doesn't internet, and this is just how this tool actually works. Internet dot example email and internet. It will say the name and the email doesn't match. I can actually do it like something like this. I can actually send the full name here. But if I send the same as a function inside, that will be regenerated and it still will get a new one, a different one. So for that, I just will create a simple variable called cons full name equal to that. And now I can just reference the full name here, so we have consistency in the full name. So that one just being called one time, and we can send. Oops, I need to close this. There you go. Whatever we send as name is the send as email to, and I don't see the other one rendered. Let's change this to a paragraph. Let's change this to a paragraph. And I should be able to see the name twice. Oh, I don't know why I'm not seeing it. Oh well, we will. Actually, that's really weird. Why is not showing it on full name? Just get rendered ones, probably. Let me actually take something for my notes. So doing this, let me actually do this. Okay, now the full name and the full name is being rendered twice. And this one probably we need to send it a little bit different. And this is just caveat. So what happened there is actually not sure what happened there. I was not able to call the function probably or execute it. And then that was rendered correctly. So here I just called the function and then I just concatenated the full name. And now I sent the full name they were supposed to. But this one needs to be changed with first name, comma, last name. So Emily Hansen have Emily 74. Maria Merz has Maria 93. Lila Cole has Lila 15. And go on. But that's pretty much the information that we need to be addressing here. So the way that I want to work here is I will do a simple card element. And that card, oops, oh, come on. Let's do a div. Everything should be inside a div. And here we'll do class card. Perfect. So everything be rendered we're supposed to. We have the name, we have the email. What else we can actually use? Let's do probably a quote. Let's do a quote, and this came from quote. So it's like some kind of like a saying or whatever. And we can actually have some job description, and probably should be, we should put that probably after the name. Let's put investing. There you go. We have name, job, area, email, and some saying, right? Maybe. And that's it. That will be more than enough. So now that we have that, let's actually grab the information a little bit different, and let's do div. Uh, I really need to fix my Visual Code. So it will be my class, will be card image, and we grab this too, and let's put all these elements inside, and let's call this class card details. Oops. Nice. And let's start adding here. So it will be the name, card details name. This will be class of card details job. This one will be card details email, and card details quote. Yeah. And now we can styling those. And let's do this really fast. Scope, language, or CSS. Let's do our card, that will be the first element. And let's make just the card to be apply some basic elements that I have right here. Boom. I apply it. I did my cursor to be a pointer, and let me just remove because I want to click it. When I click it, I will want to see the details, and that will be another video. But for now, I just want to keep it like this. Overflow hidden, so to hide everything from inside. Rounded, probably this is too much. Let's change it to medium, because that's the one that we're using across the app. So the background is really clear. So we had a padding, and we had shadow, really big shadow, well, medium shadow. So we had like that relief. And we can actually do this one later. And so the idea is when I press it, I need to something happen to here, right? And something really cool that we can actually call is we can call whenever we click it, and let's say our card, whenever we click the card, we can execute the select card. And select card, we can actually create a function. And let's make a separation here just to be a little more consistent. And that will just print my full name on the, so let's do inspect, let's go to the console. If I click somebody, I see those persons being selected. And that will be when we wrap up later or function, something like that. But we'll do something what we need to do here. Some extra things I would like to do is what I just remove it. Is some I can actually do some hover. I can actually call the scale 110. Let's print it. So now we can see that movement when we hover over an element. And that's the one that we saw before. So I will change this in order to make a snappy animation. I just want to make it a little more like animation itself. So let's do, I just want a transition and a duration. So if I play that, now we have the little animation, it does get bigger. And something that I want to do is whenever I hover over, I want to my shadow late 900. Probably it's too much. No, actually, I like it. But probably what we can use is increase the shadow size. So we have a shadow of where we have the shadow. Right here, we have a shadow of medium. So whenever we hover over, we can apply as late 900 and oops, shadow to Excel. That's the biggest one. So you get this, and I lose my other one. Come on, really? Oh, I have hovered twice. There you go. Now we see like we got that little animation about the shadow. Look like it really came up. And we're playing a little bit with the styling there. Pretty cool. So now that we have that, we can actually working with the rest of the element. And something that probably I need to do here is wrap. Yeah, I just apply my wrapping so we can see everything without needing to scroll. So my line 29 is all these elements in one. Right? So now that we have applied that to the card, we can apply something to the image. And we can apply, well, to the and image, apply this element. Oops, apply. Actually, it's to my image, img. Because that's particularly the element that we're tagging here. There you go. So now we have that little rounded image. We make an center, contain the object so you can see the whole picture, and we need to be rounded. That's it. Only other things that we can actually add. Let me see. For details. So now I can go here and see my details. Always apply a bunch of stuff by default. Something like that. So let's apply a flex element column gap with padding top so we have a separation and center this text. I really like it. Probably we need to remove the gap. We don't need the gap for now. And the name, I like this. From bold actually, no, let's keep it bold. And text late, yeah. Probably we can reduce this to 700. No, let's do 8. Yeah, probably 800 is enough. Let's make this one to be, actually let's do yellow. And we do 500, how it works, how it looks. No, contrast is really bad. Yeah, let's keep that one there. Let's do, oh, let's keep it slate. Sorry, design is always like this. And let's make this actually yellow. And let's make it text small. Extra small. Yeah. Let's make the email to be small too, probably. The email didn't go to apply. Let me see what's happening here. Have the name, job. Oh, email. I have a typo here. There you go. And now it doesn't, I don't like it how it looks like. So make this one to be small. And we can add, let's actually make this one, let's return the gap, but probably a smaller one. Gap 2. And then to the job, we can remove that gap. We can do something probably like gap +2, but negative gap. Does that work? No, it doesn't work. So margin top of 2. So can I do a margin negative? There you go. So I'm applying the gap across the board, but the title, I just return it with a negative margin. Let's make this to be, and probably this one a little bit like this. And let's do text from bold actually. No, it's too much. Semi-bold. And we apply it to a name with the uppercase. So we can apply the, no. No. Let's make this probably a little bit bigger. And instead of bold, let's do the other way around. Font theme. Yeah, more likely. Let's remove the email. Probably we can send the emails later in the details. Probably just too much here. Yeah, I think I like it. And the name, let's do tracking white. Wider. And this one probably should be on bold. Let's remove this bold from here, semi-bold. And let's do text Excel, just a little bit big. Not as much. Large? Probably. And let's add a padding top of another 2. Or yeah, to have a little like difference here. I think it should be enough. Yeah. So we have our components there. And the idea will be just to click one of those and see that details information. So now we have the styling and a little bit of the responsive, even though we know that we didn't do the response on the top. Like, that's still working somehow. Cool. Let's comment all this in, added cards. And let's do one last element, and that will be at the bottom. It will be a simple one in order to handle the pagination. So let's call this new file, and let's call it main pagination. .view. Let's do the same. Next one, pagination. Let's go to our main area. Let's import the pagination. And let's put that one right here. Yes, we have pagination at the bottom. So the idea of the pagination will be simple, really simple. And in order to make it work, you just need to have some kind of styling left, right, and will be a bunch of buttons. Pretty much. But before we do the styling, I want to show you a little more about the logic and the pagination, and it's just the high-level logic. We need to see later. We will see later in a future video about the details of the logic. Let's go to the pagination itself. And I lost it. Oh, I'm already there. Something like this. So what I'm doing is I'm just creating a simple to see how many pages that we have in order to see how many things need to be increased. And then I just have an active page. That active page right now is the for one. And I will create two functions, previous page and next page. I'm just telling if my active page is bigger than 1, I will reduce the active page value. And it's important because this is a reference. We need to access through value element inside the script. Inside the template, we don't add the value element, but inside the script, we do. And then when I do the next page, that will see pretty much if my active page is less than my value, I just increase my active page. And the template will be really simple. So what I'm doing is I have a pagination element, it could be like my wrapper. And then I have my action, so my button class action and button class page. Class action, what it does is whenever I click it, the previous one I call the previous, and the next one I call the next. That's it. But I have something really weird here about this table, and I'm making it dynamic with this element. And saying, that will allow me to inject JavaScript inside. And I'm saying if my active page is exactly as 1, I will disable previous. If my active page is equal to pages, I will disable this other one. So we know that right now and we can actually see that right here. Let's do current page is active page. So we'll just to see it. And let's make it, in order to make it see it, probably we'll be able to see a little bit better if we do a print. There you go. So we can actually see it's not part of the layout. I know if I click next, my 4 will change to 5. You know, I'm just calling the next page, and next page, what it does, increase the value until my active page is less than my pages. that is 10. So when I get to 10, you see that my button doesn't work anymore. And even my mouse is not there because it's disabled. But I can go back, and now I can move all the way until I get the top. The other one, if I go to 1, my previous button doesn't work anymore. So that's so simple of the logic that how it works. Right now I'm calling it through here, but in reality will be the pages that, I don't know, like your server response. So like will be so many pages, and that will allow me to do that change. So this allow me to do something like, if I change this to 5 pages, you see that I just have 5 numbers here. If I change to 30 pages, all those pages get injected and go on, right? For now, let's keep it to 10. And how can I make that? It's my middle button. I'm just defining once. And I change because we will be changing this a little bit. When doing it for every page that I have in pages, I will just add that page. But in this case, that page will be the number. It's like just go through there. And I have my basic class that is page, and I have a dynamic class. That dynamic class will be active only if my page is the same as my active page. So I will apply this text as a class only to the active one. And we can actually see that if we inspect it. If we inspect it, you will see that the 4 is the active one, right here. If I move to 5, those just get moved, and if you previously, those get moved. And now you see that my button is disabled. Let me go to all the way up, and when I get active the 10, my next button got disabled. So that's the little logic that we're doing through JavaScript in a simple way. It's pretty neat. If we go to view, we can actually call the pagination, and we can see the setup, how many pages, all the elements. We can see it through here. So we call this, we'll see that the active page will get changed, and then until it gets where it's supposed to be, right? So that's the benefit of this, see those tools. So the only thing that is missing here, and let me just remove this pre, you don't need it anymore. It's just stalling just a little bit. And will be really simple. I come up pagination, I do flex, justify center, so this will be centered, and I make a gap, so every element, every button will have a gap. I make the button, the action, to be rounded, and probably I can change this to be rounded MD, because that's the one that we're handling. -MD. And we're saying that the action will be previous and next. We have background of slate, so it will be like a white, almost white, font medium, so text, and a little bit of shadow there. And we hover over, we have the color to be a little bit darker, sorry. And if it's disabled, I just change the text to be really clear, and the color stays the same as it was not hover over when it's disabled. The only thing that we apply into the pages is we do the same rounded MD. Background will be 100, that is pretty much the same as the background that we had. And text slate there and show medium. Perfect. And when hover over, we'll see that it changed just to be a little bit darker. But the active one, I changed that to be yellow, so we can have the reference what is the active, and with the text white. And probably instead of text white, let's do text slate 100. So let me save that. And now we can see our styling just got applied. We had the shadows, so we can hover over, you can see that those actually get affected, except the actives. Let me just to hover will be background yellow 600. So you get that little hover over. There you go. Very subtle. And if I move next, you will see the active element that changes, and we just go to apply it, and the same way background. And probably this is too low. We can do 700 and keep. And when it hover over, it just actually get perfect. And something extra that I added, as you can see if you click it, that one get active, because I forgot to mention this. I just making, when I click it, I use the current page where you are. Oops, right here. It will be, the active page will be the current page. And that's it. And that will be pretty much the layout that I want. So I would like to look for member, filter the list through here. Have the pagination so we can actually move to the next one. And we don't have the department page, but that one will be like a list of every department, so we can actually filter to department. And the settings where probably you can actually change your information, something like that. Right. So we have the main layout, and I really hope that you like this video. And the same as the previous one, what I tried to do is just to showcase how you can use several elements. Let me just put here created pagination, and this will be shared with you. So we can create several elements, and every element has its own logic and its own styling, and then we can apply that and just call it to different elements through our application. Other than that, I really hope that you like it. Any question or any doubt, don't hesitate to reach me. Happy coding, everybody!